Hi, welcome to Get Ready with God podcast. My name is Julie Taylor, and I'm your host, and I'm not God. Obviously, I'm not an expert. I'm not even a scriptorian. I'm literally just a girl sitting in front of a microphone, and I'm hoping that God is real. The Get Ready with God podcast is the daily devotional podcast to help you see divinity in every day. That's it, right? I said it with different intonation, and it made me feel like I forgot a part or said it wrong. Okay, something I've been thinking about lately is suffering, because we all suffer. We all suffer. And I think there's ways to really work toward removing unnecessary suffering from our lives. That's something that I work on a lot and think about a lot. But I think also something that I think about a lot and talk with friends a lot about is meaning in suffering. Like, is there meaning in it? And this can become a complex conversation because it kind of makes you start to wonder why some people suffer more than others, or why some people get the miracle and some don't, and some seem to be saved from things and others aren't. And what does God allow to happen versus what does he save people from? It just becomes a complex conversation really quickly. But one thing that has been helpful to me recently is I'm a person who likes to find meaning in things. And sometimes I think that that's a little silly because I feel like, well, we can assign whatever meaning we want to things. And so why do we do that? Because I could pick anything and assign a meaning to it. And so then is it real or not? Is it real or is it just made up? And then you go to like existential really quick, But it helps me to find meaning in things. And I was talking with a friend who she's losing her dad right now. And she was saying how everyone that she has talked to who's been really, really honest with her has kind of said, yeah, I don't feel my person. Like after they die, I don't really feel them often. And so she was asking me, she was kind of like reconciling, like, hey, so in my faith, we were kind of taught that like these people are always there and that you'll see them again and that they're always around. But everyone I'm talking to, that hasn't been their experience. So like, what the heck? And that has been my experience too. I don't feel my brother passed away. I have felt my brother twice in my life. And my child passed away, and I have felt him once so far in the almost 2 years that he's been gone. Like really, really felt their presence. It's not a constant companion. And some people say that it is, and I'm not going to debate their experience with that. Um, but for me and a lot of others, I know that that's not like an experience that we've had, is feeling them with us all of the time. But I told her one thing that has helped me is to find a sign and give it meaning. And I think that I've shared this here before, but when right after Simon died, I noticed this like big black crow just kept like coming to my bedroom window. Was like always in my yard and had never been around before. And then I went down and I did a hike that I call Simon's hike because it's the last hike I did while I was pregnant. And I went down and did the hike again. And as I was driving to do the hike, this giant black crow, just like, or raven, I don't quite know the difference, like white, like right in front of my windshield. Like I almost hit this giant black bird. And it was just so frequent. And so I told my friend, I'm like, what is that? Like, what is the deal? Like, what does this mean? Like, there's always this black bird haunting me. Like, is something else bad about to happen? Is this a bad omen? Because she kind of knows about like signs and meanings and things. And without a beat, she just said, oh, well, Julie, like, if Simon knows you, he's going to send you a dark sign, not rainbows and butterflies. And I immediately felt like, yeah, yeah, I like that. I accept that. I accept that assigned meaning. And so now Black Crow or Black Raven is kind of my sign for Simon. And when I see one, it makes me think like, huh, yeah, I think he exists and I think he's around. That to me is very different than like feeling his presence. But that sign, do I know? Do I know if Simon actually is sending me blackbirds as a sign of his continuance on in some place? I have no idea. But assigning that meaning to it makes me feel better. I like it. And I don't think that it's so bad to assign meaning to things to help us to get through and to also help us turn our pain into something. I don't want Simon to have died spontaneously for no reason. That's not comforting to me. I do know some people where that is comforting to them. It's more comforting to believe, because to believe that a baby died intentionally or by some divine interference feels like God is cruel and God is wrong. And so I can completely see both sides of that. For me, assigning meaning to it has helped me. And Simon's situation was a little bit unique. I think everyone feels unique in their trauma and their grief, but there's a whole story for Simon that I haven't ever told publicly before, and I did put it in my book. And I'm preparing myself to be able to talk about that story publicly by April when the book comes out. It's very sacred to me and very special to me, but there's meaning there. There's meaning there. And so, one, I guess I just want to say we can assign meaning. And we've talked about this before. Pick a sign that God is real or that God loves you and assign meaning to it. For me, it's the rainy days, right? Pick a sign and assign meaning. I think that helps, and I think that it's okay. And it doesn't really matter if it's real or not, if it helps you. But what I wanted to mention in this is that suffering, right? If it's helpful for you to find meaning in your suffering, then great. If it's more helpful for you to just think spontaneous suffering happens and it's for nothing, then great. But for me, God has been the difference in just suffering or being strengthened. So I'm going to suffer either way. Hard things are going to happen either way. But when I invite God into the equation, it feels like I am being strengthened through the suffering to be able to turn it into something. And I think most of us can look back, or I'll challenge you to look back at your life and see ways that you were prepared to handle uniquely challenging things that you're being asked to handle. And when I look back at my life, I can see so clearly how things I thought really were terrible and hard and cruel almost at the time really did prepare me to handle what was next in my life. And I say that with caution because I have had the thought that I'm being prepared now for more, and I don't want more. I don't want more. But I do think that is a pattern that if we choose to acknowledge, we can see divine preparation in our lives to handle uniquely hard things. But I also think that inviting divinity into our suffering and asking God, what is this teaching me? What is it preparing me for? What am I gaining? What am I learning? And what do you need me to do with this? Can be the thing that takes suffering and turns it into something that strengthens us instead. So we're not just suffering, we're getting stronger. It doesn't make the suffering worth it. It doesn't make the hard thing worth it. It helps you heal. I do think that taking your pain and turning it into something helps you heal. And I've shared here before, that's one of the most beautiful parts of being part of a grief community is to see what people turn their pain into, because they turn it into beautifully powerful, wonderful things. If the reality is that we're going to suffer either way, how can we invite God into it to help us be strengthened through it rather than just suffering for no reason? The question that I would challenge you to ask that has helped me the most is, what do you want me to do with this? And then be willing to do it. And when you look at it that way, I think that a lot of suffering can be alchemized into something beautiful in a way that helps and heals differently than any other thing can. I know for me, sometimes the gut reaction when I'm struggling or suffering is to isolate from people and from God. Stop praying, stop searching, stop asking, stop believing, stop choosing. And I'm fighting against that every day because I want to turn it into something. Because for me, I know that will help me. And to suffer for no reason feels cruel and wrong to me. And I don't feel like that's the plan. I don't feel like God's intention is ever to just have people suffer for no reason. Think of it with your own children. It's actually really hard and painful and terrible to sit back and watch our children suffer. But sometimes we know that they need to be able to become what they need to become and learn what they need to learn. And I think the same thing is true on a divine level. There's a quote that I just heard. My church does like a worldwide conference a few times a year, and it was like an hour ago. And I don't even remember the quote, and it's too early to have it like published anywhere. But the sentiment was, this hard thing you're going through, you have to do it. I think the words were like, I'm proving you, but I'm not abandoning you. And I felt it so deeply of God might not be saving us from it, but he's not leaving us in it. And he's helping us turn it into something. And turning our suffering into something, for me, is really meaningful and really powerful. So that's the question of the day. What do you want me to turn this into? Don't just suffer. Get stronger. Let the divine strengthen you through the suffering. Love you so much. Bye.